say? Let's get that background. There we go. Red morning. Hope you're enjoying your coffee. Remember the saying, don't eat paint. I'm not going to do music all. I think I'm just doing it as like an introduction to this one. I still got to sort out like a proper intro. I see all these like fancy podcasts and they do like a little catchy thing, get it all up and going. And I'm like, I can only put videos of that stupid fucking MAGA kid so much before it gets boring. Or of Kickboxer Boys. Anyways. Look at that. Awesome story for him and the guys that happened to work a few days ago. Well, that's always going to be good. So, a little bit of a confession to make. A little bit of a confession. Not a huge confession. One, I'm wearing off-white pants. No. I don't know. I felt like doing the whole... remember this scene from Running Man with Schwarzenegger when he was escaping? Goes to the airport. It's like that look. I was like going in that one today. Anyways. So, you saw the title, Roe vs. Wade and Dread, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? To be fair, it's sort of clickbaity. So, I'll start with this. I find it very strange from a Canadian perspective how 3 weeks ago, if you don't know, Canada just had like a new long gun registry, firearm ban without calling it a firearm ban. And all the spinsters, all the 28-year-old chicks who can't get no man to settle down with them that's, 6 feet tall, 6 feet abs and whatever, 6 foot dick. And they were like, yeah, you guys think you're Americans with your Second Amendment. You don't have one in Canada. And then Roe versus Wade came out with a ruling and they're like, oh my God, Roe versus Wade. And I'm just like, projection is perception. Every time. Makes me laugh. Oh, casual. Just so you know, chode is spelt with an A. C-H-O-A-D-E. It's one of those strange ones because nobody tends to talk about it too much. So yeah, from a Canadian perspective, I don't understand this weird 51st state attitude. So there's, I guess here's a history lesson for you guys. Canada has a few nuances about it that a lot of people don't know unless you're from. So for example, our Liberal Party of Canada and our Conservative Party of Canada aren't actually liberals and conservatives. They're both centrist business parties. They're more regional than anything. So the CPC, for the most part, is a West Coast representation. And the LPC is an East Coast representation. The problem is, the population's all on the East Coast. It's like 20% of the country lives in Toronto or something like that. It's actually kind of crazy. Although I think that's more like 1 in 8 now, so like 15%, but 10%, but whatever. Jesus, Mish, that's some savage stuff. The original way it was designed was that the western provinces were colonies to bring resources to the east, so there's always been kind of like a real disdain for the West Coast, which is why every time you see like conservative issues, it's because Alberta is fairly hardcore conservative that way. At least the people in the oil rigs, because they're blue-collar workers. Of course they would. And so that's why it looks like Republicans versus Democrats, but it's not. It's regional. It's Alberta just needs to shut up, pay Quebec so they can have socialism and be done with it. And the go-to, and this is, I'm coming back to the point, the go-to mockery of West Coasters is usually, oh, you guys think you're Americans with your stupid Second Amendment or whatever. But it's funny because they never do. Like, they're probably the most prideful Canadians you've ever met are West Coasters, especially prairie people. Like, you tell somebody something negative about Canada, you better not be saying it in Saskatchewan. Of course, nobody will hear you. There's nobody there. But that's the point. The one guy who does hear you is going to be pretty pissed. And so that's how we end up with this. And then East Coasters have this weird status thing about them where, especially along the Toronto-Montreal beltway, where they want to be American because they're the ones making all the money, but their core identity is not being American. Because Canada's not really good for, we have a pretty good identity, but it's not a good identity. So for the most part, Canadians think whatever Americans do, we're not doing, and that's what makes us Canadian, which seems like a bit juvenile. But then again, you're seeing the rigmarole about the Roe V Wade thing in Canada of all places. So yeah, it's kind of nice though. A bunch of truckers are like, hey, we want no vaccine mandates. We want to be able to earn a living, and you got to stop bringing cheap third world talent in to smash the trucks and kill people and kill our insurance rates. And Trudeau's like, I'm not leaving the house for this. Roe v Wade does a thing, and now he's like, oh, I better go and I better address the nation. You're like, oh, That's just where we are now, though, man. It's like women are the hot potato. Women are the nuclear football. Women are the feminine imperative. What's the hypergamous something or other? And they spend all the money. They show up to vote because they're very emotional, and emotional people are easy to market to. And so, yeah, you guys think, here's the thing. And this is where every red pill guru gets it wrong, where they think, oh, it's the feminine imperative, women are taking over. They're not really. It's almost more of like a polygamic thing. Women are all en masse easily susceptible to marketing and branding and emotional appeals, which is way easier than guys, because for guys, you actually have to get in their best interest, except for this new generation. We might actually beat out women in emotionality here with the next generation. So, you know, crossing fingers. And so if that's the case, if you're an aspiring politician, what do? You appeal to chicks. That's why all of a sudden every dude is woke. It's not that they're woke. They're like, hey, girls, abortions are great. Guns are bad. Basically anything like a nagging soccer mom would hate about her husband, and they're like, that's their political platform. It's not that they're feminine centric. It's just that they know their base. Guys won't come out to vote, but girls will. So let's start appealing to them. And that's how we ended up where we are. Same thing with money. I've talked about it before, the MasterCard's annual credit report. And it's like women are a $14 trillion disposable income industry. They make 80% of the consumer choices. They make all the money decisions because guys, for the most part, we like to buy shit, but women like to buy shit. That's why I find it funny, because you see everybody's, all right, time for a general strike, girls. We're going to crush this economy. We're the 80% of the consumer spending. We're compulsive spenders. If we just stop spending, they'll cancel Roe V Wade. And I'm like, imagine all these crackheads getting together. It's like, all right, crack's too expensive. We're going to get together and we're going to stop doing crack until prices come down. It's like, I wish you luck, sir. I wish you luck. I don't think it's happening. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I don't know. Maybe they nuke dumb shit, economic broken window shit to the Stone Age, in which case I'm like, that'd be a great idea. Imagine superfluous things just kind of like take a giant hit in the economy, and the things you need and the things that make you happy stick around. Would that be so bad? Anime's right too. A lot of naked women are in my near future in the local news, which is the weirdest thing. So I know we see a lot of like men being raised as defective women, and then kind of women are kind of being raised as like consequence-free women. Remember that Bill Burr sketch where he's like, imagine if it was socially unacceptable to hit me, the kind of an asshole I would be, slapping the protein shakes out of bodybuilders' hands and stuff like. And you're just seeing like the feminine version of that. Now, having said all that, just like those Canadians are bitching about the Second Amendment, or bitching about people bitching about the Second Amendment, and Canadians are bitching about Roe v. Wade, most of these people don't exist in real life. They're not real people. I mean, some of it's agitprop. I know for a fact. At least some big media event is staged. Most of them are. There's a few that are viral, like they just happen to emerge as a viral event, but for the most part, it's staged. That's why I find it hilarious. What was it? 2 years ago? A couple years ago? Remember when during the Trump years where CNN was like telling the crowd how to act behind the camera? It's like, yeah, we need you guys to do this and, you know, yell this and here's a sign and put this up and then we're going to do our story. Everybody saw that. And then for some reason, 15 minutes later, everybody's like, no, this one's real. It's like, no, they're not real. It's never real. And this is why I hate doing this on the internet. I'm with you, Dave. I love seeing people freak out. But the internet rewards attention. And people who like attention, aka women, do things to get attention. It's like that toddler. I've told you this story before too, where you see a toddler, you're all hanging out Christmas time, you're in the family, in the living room. Toddler comes running into the room, trips over the coffee table, bangs their head off the ground, gets ready to start crying, and everybody in the house is laughing because like watching toddlers fall is hilarious. They just bonk over like one of those inflatable things with the sand balk, like the clowns. And then the kid's about to cry, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. I think I've just tapped into a resource of attention. That's awesome. And yes, there's a reason that a 2-year-old has the emotional maturity of a lot of these agitprop actors. So the kid sits there and pretends to fall 20, 30 more times and can't quite get that magic back. And we're kind of at that level of media manipulation now, which I think is a good thing. Every time you see like a chick getting naked out in the front, you're like, oh, okay, she's part of some goofy thing. Probably a porn star, probably using it as an ad for her OnlyFans, but to bring awareness towards a porn, you're like, oh, for fuck's sakes. All right, fine. And then the only question guys have is like, mid? Luckily, so it's been the case for the longest time where it was always the ugly, like the chicks you wouldn't want to see naked, they get naked at these events. And then some marketing genius at, Chick Lives Matter or whatever organization started this stuff. They're like, look, we love girls of any size, but we need some better marketing. So we're going to get the hot chicks. And by hot, I mean like, hard sixes. You, the 28-year-old, we'll find you a husband, but get in there. You're like, all right, I got this, girls. That's why you're seeing girls with implants now doing the getting naked thing. And at that point, it's just brand advertising. That's no different than MLD John getting on here and bragging about how awesome he is. I'm like, the only difference is the nips, right? So what's the takeaway from you? Because like I'm sitting here rambling about red meat topics because we got to make sure the title's not too clickbaity. I have to actually talk about what's in there. What do you do for it as a guy? I don't know. Let it burn. Just watch and have fun. If you're if you're a Canadian, realize that this stuff is like professional sports. You're watching the Raiders fight the 49ers, and you can root for one and you can root for the other, but you're not the 11th man. If it's like the Raptors playing, you're not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th man. If it's the Leafs playing, and I don't know why you're watching a Leafs game, but whatever. Maybe you got kicked in the head as a kid. Maybe you got learning disability. Who knows? Maybe it's a corporate event and your boss made you show up. It's just sports. It's just sports for people who don't want sports anymore. In fact, I'm kind of sad. I think sports really dropped the ball and need to bring it back, because I remember the big trope in the 70s was seeing all of the guys wearing wife beaters, turkey stains on it, yelling at the coach on the TV for being such an idiot. And there was like a lot of anger. Wife getting mad at the husband for watching sports, husband getting mad at the wife for nagging him about watching sports. Everybody's mad at the coach. The guy in the play position there, you go to the grocery store and people are like, you idiot, you missed the pass last week. He's like, dude, what the hell? It's like Sunday. And then all that anger just has to go somewhere. Instead of going into sports, it went into politics. Now here we are. The Raiders and the 49ers, except for nobody's athletic, nobody's attractive, and everybody's still angry. I'm like, this is great. At least before, when you're yelling at the Patriots, like, there were some cool dudes. Like, I'd have a beer with that guy. And the girl's like, yeah, I'd fuck him. I'd fuck him and leave my husband for a couple weeks and then say we need to work on things. No, not anymore. Not anymore. All right. You know what? So I'm not going to play music for you guys, but I'm going to play music for me. It helps keeps a cadence. A cadence. If you don't know, a cadence is like the rhythm of like a run. Horses do it all the time. If you have a good cadence on a trot, right? You can keep it going forever. I still watch sports. You do. Most people don't. I don't, to be fair. Unless it's a live game, I don't watch. Like, I've seen a couple Raptors games. I even saw a Leafs game, but don't quote me. I think they were playing the Habs, so I'm like, I can live with that. But that was like when I lived in Montreal and Toronto, I always lived right close to the stadium either way. Well, I guess not for hockey. This one here was for baseball, but now I'm a Jays fan, because if I'm really bored one day, I just walk downstairs. There's always a scalper selling some, horrible tickets for $50. I grab 2 of those, and the girl and I just go to the beer garden, and I don't even know any of the players. Thank God they got those giant banners up around the stadium. But I'm like, I'll just watch a game. Make a friend in the beer garden. It's always some dude from like Windsor or some crazy place. He's like, yeah, this is my annual. I save up to go and see a Jays game. And I'm like, oh, that's swell, dude. That's swell. Then again, I don't really care about politics other than to make tweets. Because let's face it, I mean, I've been stuck at 20,400 subscribers for a while now. It's just, I seem to have hit a hard limit. So at this point, I'm like, I can just tweet whatever. Grab anything that even somewhat gives me interest. I'm having my morning coffee and it's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Fuck these guys. I'm angry about sports. Daniel Bell absolutely nails it. I don't know, hockey's fun. To be fair, like the reason I like it live, but I don't like it, it's just because to watch the game, each one has a different vibe to it. I know this is off topic, but whatever. You know, I might even make a timestamp on this one because we're talking about hacky. Talking about hacky. Live sports. Ryan has a live sports section? Yeah, trust me. So I've seen all the sports that are available in town here. Now here's my impression. For football, it's CFL. I can't watch an NFL game in Toronto for some reason, probably because of the C. And I think my girl put it best when she's like, this is ADD torture. Like, they'd be playing the game, but it's just like spurts of activity. But then in between that, they're like, we need to keep people occupied. So they have dudes running back and forth with giant flags and banging drums, drones flying overhead, and then blasting tunes are playing, and then the Jumbotron showing some crazy stuff, and then cheerleaders are dancing around. And she's looking at it like, you never seen those videos of the cat that's in like a disco ball and it's just kind of going, it's just blanking out. She's like, yeah, I just blanked out, man. I'm like, fair enough. But it was pretty cool. One of our neighbors was playing for the Argos. And we're like, it's kind of neat. Watch him play. And we chatted about it because he had a really cool dog. I only knew him from the dog park. And they're like, oh, you know he plays football, right? I'm like, oh, cool. Probably was refreshing on his part that nobody's talking about football, but whatever. Anyway, so that was fun. Basketball, it was a sustained fun. I like that because you can sit there and chill. You can watch the game, but you don't have to like 100% focus on the game. But it's weird because like we had pretty good seats. The court looks a lot smaller when you're watching it live until my girl pointed out, she's like, you realize these guys are like 7 feet tall, right? I'm like, oh, okay, so that's why the court looks so much smaller. Like if you got up there, the place would be tiny. Like, fair enough. But it's fun. It's entertaining. It's definitely got a more higher class atmosphere to it. I don't know how to explain it. The CFL was more, guys just getting off working at the mill kind of shit. The and then the NBA was more, hey, this is where you go for after your corporate event. Hockey, I feel bad as a Canadian saying this, but I was like, it's kind of like, it's not as good as basketball, but it was good enough. The hits were okay, things kind of fun and okay. It's a little bit more crowded. To be fair, it's because of the Leafs. I'm not going to lie. The tickets are so expensive. The only people that can afford tickets anymore are like corporate sponsors. So it's like you basically get tickets through work. That's the only way you can get there anymore. So everybody there is basically dressed in a business suit, and it's just as fun as going to like the fucking Cactus Club. Which, if you don't know what that is, that's like, I don't know how to explain it. Is there a Canadian in the chat? Explain what the Cactus Club is to the Americans. Then my favorite is baseball, because baseball is everybody. They got corporate seats. They got, dudes from the suburbs. I hate it from a traffic perspective, and the body mass index is way higher at a baseball game than just about any other sport. But everybody's friendly. You can strike up conversations. I showed up to one in a Seahawks jersey, and everybody thought it was hilarious, which is good, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Beer is affordable. Tickets are affordable. It's nice. And then afterwards, and like the entire group around the stadium filling out, it's like when you're at the bar after closing time. You know that 45 minutes to an hour after the bar closes when everybody's trying to get a cab, so there's just a giant mob of people outside. Maybe a fight breaks out and everybody's chilling. Maybe pick up a girl. It's like that, sober. So yeah, if I had to say which sport, if you're gonna watch something live, I would say go for baseball. Second choice would be NBA, and last choice would be watching the Leafs. It is though, because I can't watch any of it on TV. I think it's ridiculous on TV. I'm not invested enough. I almost want to say it's kind of the way I see a lot of goofballs talk about Marvel movies. I'm pretty sure like I need to get into it that level in order to enjoy it. But hey, whatever. Yeah, economy of scale. Anyways, enough about sports. Real life examples. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this one's going to be fun. And by fun, I mean pretty raw. We're going to change the pace here. And I got to leave a little marker to let you know.
Not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah, blah, blah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a about Ryan Stone.
Never gets old. So real life examples. I'm not going to be the best at this because unfortunately there's people who have a lot more experience with like abortions than me. But luckily for me, I did a lot of time in the military, and surprisingly enough, planned pregnancy is a huge thing in the military. You may have heard of Such notable terms as rim pack back or NATO knee. If you don't know what that means when you check your operational schedule or your op sched, and you start to see a deployment coming up for your unit or your ship, a lot of people then all of a sudden become sick bay rangers. They'll go to the medical infirmary or MIR and they'll find out that, oh my God, all of a sudden I have a problem with my knee that's not bad enough that I can't play baseball on the weekends, but it's bad enough that I can't deploy. I don't mean the universality of service. And so, yeah, it got so common. And then girls, because they're like, oh, I can't say I threw out my back because I don't work out and I'm fat. What I can do, though, is I can get pregnant. And so a lot of people would actually time their pregnancies around the operational schedule, which is kind of weird. Because you think about this as a guy, right? Where, like, did you get a say in this? She says she wants a baby at this time. And, of course, the guy's not going to go, I want one, but after the deployment, babe, why don't you go off? She's probably not going to be down for it. Yeah, cry wolf not to get deployed. And I used to think it was kind of like a made-up thing, like a boogeyman, until I went on my deployment. And I would say a good half of our ship were people I had never sailed with before. And it kind of brought a weird, like our ship was the professional ship. And I really, really enjoyed that. For example, you go on to, at the time, there was, so we have tribal class ships and city class ships. So like the HMCS Toronto or the Her Majesty's Canadian ship, Algonquin, Iroquois, and I don't remember the other names. But Algonquin was the West Coast one. Iroquois was the East Coast one. And there was some other one. I can't remember the name of it. It's eventually mothballed. There was 4 altogether. So the Algonquin was like a drink hard, work hard ship. Like they did really good, but they hated the work there. And they always got into trouble. The Iroquois was even worse. Iroquois, they were embarrassing the country out in like Croatia and shit like that. And it was crazy. But the one I was on at the time, they called it HMCS Calgary. There was aerobics and yoga out in the flight decks during your off hours. Everybody was like highly motivated to get the job done during foreign ports. Nobody got into trouble because they're like, I hate sailing. So I'm going to make sure that none of you guys hear about anything that happens, and everybody stayed out of trouble and they policed their own because we don't want to get confined to ship. Not many of us were drinkers. There was a lot of people talking about side businesses. One dude used to bring, so he was a hull tech and he used to bring lumber on deployments, like a lot. He would always say, we need more for like exercises. When you do flooding exercises, wood makes a good barricade. And so he would go that, and then we go to places like Thailand and that. He would trade 4x4s of pine and spruce, which are like expensive as hell in Southeast Asia. And then he would bring back like teak and sell that here for an expensive price. And I was like, that's a damn good side hustle. He's like, oh yeah, it's great. It's like benefits of running an apartment. And then there was like some smuggling too, but it's not big smuggling. It was mostly guys just bringing back butterfly knives and tasers. But it was just cool. I remember I'd go to buddies' places. They had like a jar full of butterfly knives. And he's like, yeah, you can play with it. And all he did is play with it. So I'm like, what are you going to do? Call the cops on him smuggling illegal knives into the country? It's like, fuck off. Tasers were always fun too. Here, man, I got a taser now. I'm like, you live in Victoria, BC. It's the whitest city on earth. Its crime rate is 2. What do you mean 2? Just 2. What happened? I don't know. Some guy broke into a car and smashed his hand, so it counted as assault and battery. I don't know what to tell you. There was a good excellence chasing yesterday. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, anyways, the whole point of this was real life examples for abortion. So this is like the environment that and it was like a microcosm of the country. So abortions were always elective. There was a redneck part of town called Langford. And a lot of girls there were getting them, but that was only because a lot of teenagers were knocking each other up. And this is where I know guys are pro-abortion. I know quietly guys are pro-abortion. When that Barstool Sports guy starts talking about her body, her choice, it's self-interest. I mean, yeah, it's his business self-interest, but it's self-interest too. If you're a 19-year-old guy and you have sex with your 17-year-old girlfriend, I think that's legal. If not, just change the ages so it is. And she gets knocked up. You praying to God she doesn't want to keep the baby because you don't know, you have nothing. You're dressed like a wigger. You're in Langford. You know, you got your, I can't sell Roca wares for a living. I can't do this. And so, yeah, they get them then. It used to be a shotgun wedding and Buddy used to work at the mill and hate his life and resent his kids. And I still have friends that have been that way. Granted, 10 years later, 26-year-old 28-year-old knocking up a 35-year-old and then, staying together for the kids. It's like, well, There didn't have to be kids, but I mean, you're 35 and you get pregnant for the first time. There's no way you're aborting. You don't even care if the kid's a Down syndrome kid or whatever. Lost a friend to that one too. He's kind of a pretty big alcoholic. And I remember this. I think it was their second kid, actually. I'm trying to remember. I think so. But anyways, the kid ended up having like a very clear case of, I want to say Downs or autism, something like that. And then she decided she has to keep it, right? And so he's kind of, it sucked because his career was on the up and up. Everything was going well. And there's one thing that set them back. He was all for abortion. Now, you don't say this after the fact. You can't. Because it's like, you love your kids. You're fucking hardwired. I hope you're hardwired to love your kids when they happen. And because it's socially unacceptable to admit that I would have rather had an abortion, but I still love my kids. It's like a weird thing where people just can't admit to themselves. Yes, this worked out well, but if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't. Of course, the guys don't have a choice. So what we can do in place of not having a choice is just be like super supportive and cheerleading of it and hope the girl makes the right decision. If that sounds like a covert contract, it absolutely is. Hence, why every guy with a pregnancy and a kid that he didn't want always looks so miserable. I mean, tell me in the chat, do you guys have friends like this, right? Where they had like an oopsie pregnancy, she decided to keep it, and then he was kind of like, oh, this is me now. I don't know what else, I can't do anything else. And like, they're always happy. But you can always see, like, there's a part of him that's just, like, very resentful for the whole thing. But, keeps up a good face. And, yeah, he learns to love his kids. At least I hope he learns to love his kids. And that's fine. But there's an honesty to it that's missing. A certain, like, level of self-deception. And I think that's kind of a survival trait, too. You kind of have to at this point. Because what are you going to do? Hold on to the resentment for 18 years and fuck up your kids? Like, no, probably not. Oh yeah, Joe. See, here's the thing. I didn't want to have the only 1% of girls are raped, and that's the standard manosphere talking point, and nobody cares because it's never been the point. This is where, like, I've been telling you guys about subtext for 3 years, man. 3 fucking years. It's not about the words. It's about the underlying subtext, and that's a great example of the subtext. Well, what are you going to tell that to a rape victim? And you're just like, that's not the case. I know that's not the case, but you're making me pretend it's the case. You need me to slip into your frame because then no matter what the argument is, it's now, I don't like rape victims or something like that. And I'm just like, why are you arguing with a woman? 2, why are you arguing with a woman that you haven't slept with yet? And 3, why are you arguing with like a hardcore 32-year-old spinster that's bragging about hating Trump? It's like, do you got better things to do with your time? I hope so at this point. I hope so. But Joe, that's the point. You're getting caught inside the narrative. There's no narrative. There's just your narrative. What's in it for you? So here, if it's a crazy chick that you knock up because you don't do condoms, because real men don't do condoms, and damn straight you're pro-abortion. You're like, yeah, I'm all for it. If you're with a family and your wife is a frigid bitch and the only time she gets horny is when she's ovulating, yeah, you're probably a fan of that too. Because like, dude, my kid's 15. I don't want to start the clock down on this shitty marriage. Yeah, you're pro-abortion too. And don't listen to all these stupid idiots talking about save the West and shit like that. Look, if you got a guy who's telling you about these life-changing decisions that you need to make, and he's not willing to accept any responsibility for what happens in your life, he can go fuck himself. And there's no other way to put that. No other way to put that. You didn't put in on this, man. You're not paying child support. You're not here when I'm fucking miserable. You're not going to be bringing me out for a beer and listening to my problems. No, you're just some asshat on the internet who heard, oh, cool, save the West and return sounds good. I'm going to make that my marketing ploy. I'm going to shame men into doing what I want them to do because I don't even really want them to do it. It just sounds nice on paper, and it makes my pastor happy. Like, oh, fuck yourself. And yeah, it's going to be wrong when you do it. Again, this is why I remember Rolo and I did that episode of... no moralizing, Padre. There's only one morals. It Surly only looks out for one guy. Surly. The Duff Gardens line. So just ask yourself this. Don't ask yourself, does this save the West, declining birth? All those fucking abstract arguments that have no relationship to your life whatsoever. That's environment changes that stuff for the most part. Nobody gave a shit about like fidelity and marriage until the agricultural revolution made it a thing. Nobody gave a shit about divorce until the Industrial Revolution made it a thing. And nobody gives a shit on Roe versus Wade until the internet economy made it a thing. And just realize, are you part of this problem or are you part of the solution? And the only solution is what's in it for me. You should know this too. Smart people know this too. Even the most evangelical, fire and brimstone preachers. How often have you seen stories coming up where you find out, oh my God, his daughter got knocked up at 16 and he gave her an abortion. Holy shit. What a hypocrite. It's like, no, he's not a hypocrite. He says things that are good for him when they're good for him. And then he does things that are good for him when they're good for him. But those two things don't have to be connected. No, you are the one that need to be pro-life. I am going to do what the fuck I need to do to get mine. And you could sit here, and then that's where you find out, is this guy red-pilled, or is this guy a fucking asshole? Because if he's red-pilled, he understands what's good for me is morally good. What's bad for me is morally bad. Well, that's hedonism. No, it's not hedonism. You can't. That means people who do crack. No, doing crack's not good for you. That's the point. Self-interest. I know Atlas Shrugged was a horribly written book, and I know people hate Ayn Rand, but it's like, is it so hard to look out for your own best interest in absence of anybody else who will? Like, is it really? I grew up in the 90s. AIDS was worse back then. Oh, dude, AIDS is worse now. I go on Twitter. Everything is AIDS. And here, I know, Vasquez, you're saying Nietzsche. You're talking about master and slave morality. So here's the thing. Nietzsche didn't come up with it. Nietzsche borrowed it from de la Rochefort. He was like a continental philosopher about 200 years prior, right at the beginning of the Enlightenment, who took it from Marcus Aurelius, who did it 2,000 years beforehand. These aren't new concepts. It's just every couple hundred years, somebody who's really smart manages to rephrase it in a certain way. Almost like you see the manosphere. It's like, do I have to read another article about hypergamy? Yes. Yes, because sometimes some idiot needs to hear it 7,000 times, written 8,000 different ways, till he finally is like, you know what, it's kind of onto something now. I can't believe nobody's ever thought of this before. It's like, you fucking idiot. Glenn Lawrence, funny thing never happened to me. Some ex hit me up, said she was pregnant, but she's forgot that I've been snipped. When I reminded her, she was like, oh yeah, I guess it's not yours. That's funny. That's like a MGTOW, it's like, oh, and that's the MGTOW joke of the week. Like, everybody has to have their own one. But yeah, and then there's the MGTOW argument side. Like, you got to get snipped because you can't. Here's the facts. You don't get a say. She can get one without your consent, without your acceptance, whatever. She cannot get one, and you're forced to accept the consequences of that. So from a male perspective, this Roe v. Wade argument, even if you are American, and heaven forbid you're one of the foreigners who think it affects you, it's like, it's not your fight. It's not your fight. It's not your problem. It's not your monkeys. You were never invited to this conversation. You're not the 7th man. You're not the 11th man. Pick a sporting event, add one guy to the team. That's not you. Unfortunately, when you nut, that's the end of any say you get. At best, you get influence after that. We're like, hey, do you need a ride to the clinic? Here, drink a bunch of orange juice. Like, why are you trying to feed me 4 liters of orange juice? You're like, just because. And buy some Plan B. Leave them in the sink. I'm actually surprised there's not some Machiavellian dude who just, like, bra dogs every girl, and then she goes to the bathroom the next morning, and then the cabinet's just full of, like, Plan B pills everywhere with, like, a free take one here kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, 12th man, sure. Oh, yeah, we'll go with football. 12th man. Oh, Mish, we'll put that one up there. We'll get that one going. Actually, speaking of which, I should actually add. So yeah, you nutting is your final say. Hence why being in control of the birth control is seen as an iron rule of Tomasi. What do you mean an iron rule of Tomasi? Well, there's not many iron rules. There's kind of things. There's very few non-contextual red-pilled concepts out there. Be in control of the birth control. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it like number 1 is frame? Everything is about frame. And I think number 2 is about birth control, isn't it? Like, you have to get to 7 to the point everybody loves the one at 7. It's like, yeah, it's don't root in the garbage. Make sure you get a new girl. Like, all right, whatever. All right, so we're gonna find something here for you guys. I always hate being kind of like, meh, meh, meh. There it is. T-Rex Army, some new surprises, no idea what Misha has in store. Let's get that going. Why are we living like sad MGTOW apartment dwellers?
This is like the Chinese apartments.
Oh.
You just seal them inside.
Oh man, that whole thing, none of it was playing. Son of a bitch. So I have to, or no, it was playing, wasn't it? Son of a bitch. All right, we're gonna do it again. Try to. Advertisement for the Project Zomboid team. Everybody's talking about it in chat, so you guys can get a little glimmer of what's going on. T-Rex Army, some new surprises, no idea what Misha has in store. Let's get that going. Why are we living like sad MGTOW apartment dwellers?
This is like the Chinese apartments.
Oh.
You just seal them inside for loot.
Oh, good. Marty's here, I can see.
Stop, sweetie. Final words. Please take care of my goats.
Ooh. I like that. I like that ponytail.
Oh, dude, you really
commit
can
suicide?
self-delete.
Oh, he's got stuff. Do you have food on her?
Hey, don't take my stuff. I'm coming back.
I'll teleport you when
Best 60
the
seconds on
horde
TV, I'm telling you right
gets
now.
off my tail.
Oh my god, I actually
No
got
worries.
bit. This is the... Sorry, Roger. Oh. Snake,
Why is
snake,
Optimus voice-
snake! So that's what everybody's talking about on you're talking about the second channel. It's Digital Ryan. There's links on there. It's a bunch of red pill guys who decide, because you know everybody's like, the woke have taken over everything. We're like, why don't we just have some fun, entertain some people? You know, on Fridays we have a little stream, so it's kind of fun. After consulting with my copy of Rational Mail, it's Iron Rule number 5. Perfect. 5. Birth control is 5. So it's not the most important. It's no Second Amendment, but it's the Fifth Amendment. So you realize that, and there's things you can do. There's practical things you can do. Green light has a point here. Tracker cycle, so you know the danger times. With a plate, that's obviously hard because you probably might not even know. But in a relationship, there's no reason not to. And I'm not saying you need to be obsessive and have a fucking spreadsheet. Like, can you count to 30? Can you remember first week of the month is Shark Week, which means third week of the month is danger time? If you notice that the only time your girl is hot for you is during ovulation times, then yeah, it's a bit of a red flag. If you get snipped, you may as well put on a dress. JD at 2 pounds. Well, if that's what you want to go with, man, it's like, I'm not going to judge you for wearing a dress. Look, shame has no place in this from a man's sexual strategy standpoint. Do you think girls can tell? They only know if you tell them. And why would you tell a girl? It's like, is a girl going to tell you if she's on birth control? No, she's going to lie about it if she wants you to knock her up. Oh, yeah, I'm taking the pill. Oh, yeah, I got this. I got an IUD. You're like, oh, cool. That's weird. Yeah, it looks like the baby kind of ripped it out. I don't know what to tell you. And you're like, all right, fine, fair enough. Exactly. It's like, that's your business. That's not their business. If they want to have a baby, they can negotiate that. Hey, do you want to have a kid? Okay. Okay, now let's try. That's how it's supposed to work. I mean, that's not how it's supposed to work, but that would be the ideal way of it working. The I consent meme. I didn't. The clip at the end was a carjacking. Oh, yeah? Wasn't a very good one, I'll tell you that much right now. Car's like, nope. Yeah, use a rubber. Doesn't feel great. Oh, fucking 18 years of child support doesn't feel great either. In Europe, you can only abort until 3 to 4 months in. US, well, yeah, I mean, Wando, you're right with the €2 super chat. But I'm not going to have the conversation about reasonable limits on this and reasonable things on that. Because again, this does not apply to you guys because you aren't invited to this conversation. You don't have any authority at all. And then you can bitch about it and you can argue about the minutiae and you can argue about the legal implications. But it's like, you're not the 12th man. JD, just memeing. I support our transvestite RP pros. Yeah, my buddy's got his. But I mean, a lot of guys, that's the thing. For most guys, vasectomies, it's not 28-year-old MGTOWs that are worried about losing half of their shit in an empire. It's dudes who are married with 2 kids already. And they're like, all right, I'm done. Either I get snipped or you get snipped. the guy and the girl figured out amongst themselves, and a lot of the guys are like, you know what? It's just easier if I get snipped, because then if you get pregnant, I know exactly whose fault it is. It's like a day surgery now too. Like it used to be. I remember my boss got one when I was deployed. Well, it was before the deployment, but it's the boss I deployed with. And he came into work with like just ice packs everywhere. He's like, oh, this is the worst feeling ever. He's like, I wasn't ready for it. So I'd use like frozen peas. I'm like, did you eat the peas after? He's like, no, you got to throw them out after that. You can't ice your balls with something and then make a meal. I'm like, fair enough. So he got that. And then like 5 years later, my buddy had 2 kids and he got his. And he's like, it was just a day surgery. They gave me some painkillers. And then the next day it was like nothing. I'm like, oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Do individual states have the right to outlaw it now? I fucking care. Like, again, you're not invited to this conversation. It has nothing to do with you. Your doesn't change at all. If a girl wants one, she'll get one. Remember that whole, like, you can't ban guns because people will just get guns illegally. And then, yeah, it's the same thing here. A girl will drive to the next state. And if you want to watch the episode that's like, Disney will pay for... Go watch Rollo. Rollo's going to talk about this prophetic Nostradamus shit. I could give 2 fucks about some Disney employee getting a free bus ride to New York State or wherever the fuck she's going. I'm like, I'm here for you. Like, not you, because you suck. But like the generalized for like a man. I picture myself sending text in the chat. And I'm like, what is that guy? I'm talking to that guy on shit that can help him so he's not living in a fucking fantasy world, you know? Dark Knight Dev, sir, thank you for the $10 super chat. Ryan, all this red pill content can be too much without discernment and practicality. I feel like Homer Simpson and you're the doctor who pulled the crayon out. Too many guys with crayons. I actually made a reference to that too recently. Thank you very much, brother. You're not my actual brother, but it's just, term of endearment. What can I say? I was a Hulk Hogan fan. Thanks, brother. I made a joke about that, and I was like, the smartest thing I ever did when I had everybody calling me such a smart and gifted kid growing up and put me all the fancy gifted tests was spiritually putting the crayon in my nose, and life got so much better. So much better. Yeah, Disney will be funding it from non-states to okay states. So, like, chicks will be fine. Let them bitch and moan. They got it figured out because, yeah, we need you back at work. Girls will put up with so much more shit at work than guys will. That's why girls are in offices right now and guys aren't. It's because guys get to a point where, like, you know what? Fuck this job. And then they flip the keyboard and they walk out. Girls will put up with, like, 4 times as much. Well, they're trying to feminize the workplace. It's like, no. It's just so intolerable. Guys are like, I don't care. I would rather live with my parents till 30. I'd rather live in a box. It's like the work version of sleeping with a fat broad. Unless it's a slump buster, you're like, I've got no interest in it. Why do you think guys like crypto fortunes and entrepreneurship and shit like that? The idea that nobody gets to tell me what to do. And fairness, that's me too. That was my vision. This is something like, if you want to talk about dread, which we're going to get to in a bit, you're supposed to have a vision. And what's a vision? It's like a goal, but it's more vague and overreaching. Like a direction to point at, which you put goals along the line. And for me, it was from the time in the military, me being forced to put up with so much shit and, eat shit with a smile. I was like, you know what? I'm never going to put myself in a position to be taken advantage of or taken for granted again. And yeah, that's a negative one. I know Wine More Please used to argue with me. It's like, that's a very negative way of putting things. And I think he basically gave me shit saying, I need to think more of like positive and the value add side. I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I am fine with a very modest ceiling, but I need that floor taken care of. Now, is that the best way to do it? Is it the only way to do it? No and no. But it's my way, and I don't give a shit. If me getting snipped is the thing, fine. If I have to wear a dress to do it, well, I can be like that dude. Who's the dude on GQ wore a dress, and all the men were like, this is ridiculous. Magazines aren't letting men be men. They're making 25-year-old twinks wear dresses. Oh my God. Gay pop singers are wearing dresses. What's the world coming to? Remember the good old days when it was like Frank Sinatra and sleep with Marilyn? Like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Harry Styles, thank you very much. Yeah, the Twitter virologists, experts, and military strategists and constitutional scholars this week. Look, what's in it for me? And I know I keep harping on this point. Master morality, what's in it for me? Mental point of origin. I can only say the same shit so many times over the last 3 years. I've basically pushed mental point of origin, a little bit of irreverence, staying in your lane, understanding the scope, looking out for your own self-interest. Every podcast, every video has been some variation of that primary set of themes. And if you're still not catching on to it, if you're still wondering, Roe versus Wade, what does this mean? Like, what do you want, man? If you're going to let life dictate the shit you give a shit about, you're going to find that, I'll put it this way. Are you living life, or are you letting life happen? Something to think about.
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
I guess in fairness, I was looking back at that clip. It's like, yeah, people really don't like to hear about men going their own way. Some variation of something so true, it's fashionable to be outraged. And don't get me wrong, I will play into it a little bit, as little as I have to, because I got books to sell, dude. I got books to sell. I got videos to watch. So yeah, you're going to see me occasionally tell you, like, this abortion shit is brutal. Why would you? Even this title, Roe V Wade versus Dread. Clickbait titles. I always give you guys a wink at knowing, look, I know it's dumb red meat shit, but you're not going to click it unless there's this. In fact, I should be putting an angry chick and then like a soy-faced dude on the front if I really want to go clickbait. I might actually work on the thumbnail after this. But it's to get you in the door. It's, and I hate to say it, it's the red-pilled strategy. The red-pilled strategy is to give a kid his medicine with a spoon that's got an airplane. You know the airplane spoons? You put the medicine in there, it has like a measuring thing, and then you make little fucking train sounds, you put that in there. Welcome to the red pill. You have to basically treat an audience like toddlers. Toddlers who don't want to take medicine. On the off chance that 5 to 10% of you, some Pareto principle distribution, will be like, oh, so if I wear condoms and I go pro-abortion when it's crazy chicks, then I won't be fucked over for the next 18 years of my life. Novel. Tell me more about this process, sir. My preacher says, no, I just need to keep knocking up the crazy single moms in the pews. But I don't know. I'll listen. No promises. Vinny, $2, 2 R's. Ooh, I like that. Vinny, whatever your currency is, I hope the exchange rate is good because I know 2 R's has like 4 R's of the manosphere. In fact, this feels like e-begging, but if you had like a 4R dollars, that would be an awesome like 4th R of the manosphere joke. It's going to be Rolo's next red meat. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I know exactly what it's going to be. He's going to talk about the hypergamous version of it. It's basically a girl gets her Hail Mary no matter what happens. She gets to 100% control of the birth. Remember that whole Briffault's Law? You guys, I'm sure you've heard of it, where it's if there's no value to a woman, there's no relationship. You know, the woman makes the terms of the animal relationship. Yeah, that's essentially what this all boils down to. It's just a very practical example of Briffault's Law in action. Wando, €2 super chat. Brother, you said it in a raxist way, couch. No. 1, I can't be racist. Too much melanin. 2, I can't be racist. Family on my mom's side is black. 3, I'm too much of a wrestling fan to be racist. Bishop here. As long as it's something practical, I will watch it. I don't watch your chick talks. I don't blame you, man. I don't watch my chick talks either. But a lot of people do. I don't know. Got to pay bills. But again, that's just another airplane with medicine in it. And if you guys feel slighted in this, is he really speaking about me like I'm a toddler? It's like, I don't want to. I don't want to, but I got numbers to back it up. If I start yelling at women and having laughing at the toddler falling off on the coffee table, you guys will be like, "Oh, I love to watch this." You'll watch it and then you'll leave a comment saying, "Oh, I can't be arsed to watch it." I've watched this entire thing and it just makes me so disappointed that this is the thing that you made me watch the entirety of. I'm like, "Okay, I get this game." But here, we're going to switch to more practical things. I'm tired of talking about abortion. I really don't give a shit. Like dread, attraction comes at the tail end of anxiety. Anime red pill, $4. Ooh, look at that, $4.99 super chat. 1 penny short of a career-ending comment. Thank you, sir. Torsha and Ryan. I don't know. Like I said, doors always open. I suspect the decision day had more to do with influencing the upcoming election outcome and less about abortion. Maybe. I don't know. So Dread is kind of I always laugh about this. Jack 10 and I were arguing about this back in the day, about 6 years ago, about the Manosphere was like a 6-year-old soccer game. Everybody just swarms the ball, and then somebody kicks it over, and then everybody swarms that ball. And for like a 6-month period, everybody was talking about frame. And then for another 6-month period, everybody was talking about infidelity and cheating. And then for another 6-month period, everybody was talking about Dread, which was funny because it's amazing. When it's like in written form, I think it's far superior to like fucking videos. Because videos, you can't say nothing. It's going to take me 2 hours basically to tell you to wear a condom, and be okay with anxiety from your wife. 2 hours. But if I were to write this down, I could do it in like 4 paragraphs. You don't have a studio anymore. Oh, that sucks. I could make a joke there about how you earned the studio, but whatever. We'll leave that where it is. Kind of hate agreeing with Torsha. Pretty sure the world's about to end. Dude, the Roman Empire has ended. It took 400 years to fall. You'll be fine. Even in like Stalinist Russia, people were still getting laid. You'll be fine. You're talking about environmental disaster is coming. Yeah. You moved to Rockford. I don't know what a Rockford is. Like Rockford Files? Best intro in TV, by the way. It's something one of my videos, I tried stealing that. Anyways, that's not the point. Dread. Tail end of anxiety, attraction. So when I talk about Dread, the funniest part is there's like hundreds of field reports and essays and video, like tons of material out there on Dread. But something I've found out from research for getting the second book out is that it's never been properly defined. Like there's like 18 different definitions, and nobody's really looked into it. Oh, the Ray Dalio thing. Yeah, you know what? There's no guarantee that any of that shit's going to work. But here's the thing. Does that help you now? Or is that just something neat to nerd out about when in between Rome and World War II documentaries? It's like, you guys need to focus on what's right in front of you. Even if the world is collapsing, what are you going to do? Go die in a corner? It's like, no, you got shit to get done. See what kind of career you can carve out of a collapse. See what kind of income you can come out of a collapse. Because look, right now everybody's talking about the horrible collapse. Remember 2008? The worst depression since the Great Depression. It's the worst thing ever. And if you look at the numbers, 2008 North America was basically brought back to 1995 levels. Now, I remember 1995. It wasn't so bad. It was pretty good, actually. So in 2008, people complaining about, oh my God, it's going to be like we go back to 1995, back when we had to eat dirt, milk bread, eat toast sandwiches. It's like, no, man, this isn't the Dust Bowl. Even the worst case scenario right now. It's just because everybody's a scared like pussy, I guess, in lack of a better term. Everything's going to be, zero fucks given. Dude, exactly. And if you don't think I believe this, here's the thing. Celsius just had a thing. It's like they have to get some more consultants because they're looking about filing bankruptcy. So it's like, oh. Shit happens, man. Empire collapse is overrated. The Commonwealth is still chilling. Yeah, dude. The Queen still got like 4 or 5 different empires running over. But it's funny, too, because I was thinking about this from a perspective of, and we're going to go back to Dread in just a second. You know, everybody's like, look, like Dante here is saying, you look at the outside, it's like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Do you ever wonder what the best investment is, especially early on in your investing career? Investing in yourself. And I don't mean like in a believe in yourself. I mean like getting a degree to make a checkpoint for a new job, getting a certification to earn more money. That has better ROI than just about any investment you can make right now. And until you kind of max that shit out, you should be just spending every dollar on more accreditation for whatever industry you're in. Or case in point, me buying a speed editor. There's this thing here. Here, I'll show you this. And we're going to get back to Dread right after it. This thing is called a DaVinci speed editor. It's like a $600 thing. Comes with a copy of the software. So I guess the software was like $400. So this is really only a $200 thing with a $400 piece of software. Big reason I bought it is because like I need more shit to write off. So like this will be kind of fun. And everybody says like make things faster. Dude, I managed to edit videos probably at least twice as fast. And so I'm like, how many videos would it take for me to earn, $600? And then you do the math on that. And then I realized as long as I've made X amount of videos with this thing, it's paid back as investment. And then it's all profit at that point, all time, and I can make more shit or carve out more free time. So if you look at that from an ROI perspective, this little fucking thing here has made me more money than just about any investment I've made this year, with the exception of real estate. But that's not, I mean, that's an exception that proves the rule. It's the same thing for you guys. In fact, that's why I was actually talking with not just the T-Rex guys, but the Ali and I think Torsha. There's been a few other people that asked too about how do you make a video. So I'm actually got a plan to do a live stream where I just go start to finish and I make a video. I've got some mids watch footages. I've got some Project Zomboid stuff. Like literally everything from the hardware to the software to the workflow to the creative process. I think it'll be pretty good. It'll be a long stream. It'll probably be like 4 hours, but I think it'll be good. And then I can edit it and condense it down in record time. I don't know about that, man. I got a medical degree and I'm licensed. Hasn't really paid off an account of being currently unemployed with a whole lot of time for ROIs yet. Well, how long have you had your medical degree for? Because look, I'm not going to say everything is equal. Some degrees are shittier. You know, underwater basket weaving versus engineering, like do the math. You obviously have to use your head. Don't just take this as a blanket statement. But at the same time, if you're here's a good example, information security. You're basically setting policies, doing risk analysis, compliance issues with your SOC 3 or your ISO 27000. If you get a CISSP, CISSP is like Security Information System something professional. I don't remember who offers it. It's a fairly expensive certification, like $3,000 or something like that. And I'm pretty sure you need a company to sponsor you. Just having that on your resume, you usually get to ask for like another $10,000 in salary per year. Now, if there's people looking for that, for like security professionals, that gives you the extra boost. You pay $3,000 for a course. The first time you go look for a new job, you're making an extra $10,000. After taxes, it's $6,000. It's made 100% ROI within a year. Do you see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, not every investment you're going to make is going to pay off. And that's true too. Dave, 100% right. Not every investment you do is going to pay off, but some will. And that's the point. You make as many and as diverse a set of investments as your risk tolerance allows. So that's the same for me. I was in the military. I could invest 100% in the military. I could go on French immersion. I could do more deployments. I could do all this stuff. It'll allow me more promotions. The more promotions equals more pay, more job security, increases the pension at the end. There's like a numerical value to being a lifer. And at the same time, I'm like, no, I think the individual learning plan, the ILP, is going to be the way to go. Pay your, $24,000 or $30,000, get another degree, do it on your off time. You have to sacrifice all that work there. You carve that back when you pass the courses. They pay you back for it, but you had to pay taxes on it. So then you write it off on your taxes, even though technically you're not supposed to, but nobody's enforcing that. So whatever. It's the Liberal Party system. So for that $30,000 investment I made within 4 years, I had left the military. My first job was already paying that much more, paid like $30,000 more. So the investment paid off within the first year of me finishing it, of a 4-year investment. And then the year after that earned more, and the year after that for more. So what was the ROI on that $30,000 investment? Well, I save it for 6 years, and it made, I have to check the numbers, but at least twice as much, plus its original investment. So 300% return. You find me an investment that has a 300% return over a 6-year period. I'll wait. Yeah, and see, here's the thing. Like, Hook, you're right. CISP is ISC2 and Cloud Architect Search, the top search, you get top pay. There is hundreds of conversations to be had about what investments are good investing in yourself and which ones are bad. And even the bad ones aren't bad. So, but nobody's having those conversations. They're busy bitching about Roe versus Wade, about hypergamy, about Bitcoin. You know why? Because people are lazy. People are lazy and they're greedy and they're selfish and they're scared. So yeah, imagine that. You go into some crypto room and you tell somebody about how, oh, you're an IT guy. Well, instead of being a system admin, get your CISSP or get certification to conduct a compliance check on SOC 3. You can make this much more money. They're like, fuck that. I'm betting in crypto. Put $3,000 in Bitcoin on the Celsius network and $3,000 in your CISSP certification. Which one of you guys is coming out ahead? I'll give you a hint. It's the ISSP guy. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I was a diesel mechanic for 15 years. I quit that and learned copywriting and sales. That's the thing too. How many diesel mechanics know copywriting? How many diesel mechanics know how to sell? I think Scott Adams talks about it like a talent stack. So, moving back to the topic here, dread-like attraction, the tail end of attraction and anxiety. So it's totally off topic, talking about like fortune and making money and investing, right? Dread, the best descriptions I've heard about it, because a lot of guys say it's a way to make your wife fuck you, which is not true. That's like a covert contract. It's fairly overtly manipulative. Like, I'm not against manipulation. I'm against overt manipulation, mostly because it doesn't work and it seems creepy. What's creepy mean? It means girl doesn't like it in a fight or flight kind of way, and she will not fuck you. Yeah, Roger Tomarso says TLDR generation barely playing the long game. It's every generation, man. The Gen X's thought they could work at the mill for 20 years and then get a pension at the end of it. They didn't want to hear it. They're just like, no, I'm just going to do my job and I'm going to come home and everything's going to be all right. And they didn't adapt. So it's not that we're in the TLDR generation, which is true. We've always been in the TLDR generation. The difference is now it's just, it seems faster because it's laid bare for all of us. And that's the same thing for dread. People would rather bitch about Roe versus Wade. People would rather bitch about Bitcoin. People would rather do anything than invest in themselves. And dread is an investment in yourself. The best description I've ever heard for it is, well, mine, but Jack's is second best, where it's you as a man are teaching yourself not to be taken for granted. That's not so bad. Teaching yourself not to be taken for granted. I like it because it doesn't revolve around the woman, and that's why dread is clickbait. But that's going to be the next segment on this one, so I'm not going to say it now. But keep a pin in that. Dread is a marketing term. It's not a descriptor. So learning not to take yourself for granted. The way I described it back in the day, it was a branch swing with an olive branch. And I like that because it's for the same reason the dread is a marketing term. It's kind of like it's appealing to people in the language that they understand at the time they're taking it. So when you describe dread, you have to realize you're describing it to people who don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. So if you don't know what it is, but you're appealed to it, it's because, generally speaking, you're in a marriage where you're not getting enough sex. And don't tell me like, what? Deceptively common issue. Most guys are in lives of quiet desperation. Most guys are not getting what they want out of life. And most guys aren't talking about it. They double down on their work. They decide to turn their necessity into a virtue. They're like, oh, I don't have time to sleep with the wife. I'm too busy making my empire. I'm too busy being the best father ever. Do you know how many best father ever is just guys playing with their kids because they're not playing with their wife? I'll tell you right now, it's a lot. Don't kid yourself. Well, of course, RZD had a few great posts of dread on Married Red Pill. All of us did. I mean, even the bad ones were good. It's how you get there. Yeah, so if you're talking to a guy who's never heard about dread before, and they like the idea of it, you're like, okay, so it's like a branch swing. What's a branch swing? If you guys don't know, that's like a MGTOW term. They call it monkey branching. The idea is that a girl doesn't like to be alone and they're terrified. So, like, the monkey will swing from branch to branch to branch. He doesn't let go of the old branch until he's got the new one firmly in grasp. In other words, a girl won't dump you until she's got another dude lined up as a sure thing. It's never a sure thing, because girls are never perfect at it, but whatever. We can go into that story. Then a little digression. Actually, we'll do that now. During divorces, it's almost hilarious how many times, and you've seen it enough that we kind of just know the script already, where a guy's like, yeah, my wife says she's not in love with me anymore. She wants a divorce. And everybody's like, oh, okay, so she's found a new guy. I'm like, no, it's not the case. It's just we've had problems and okay, she's found a new guy. And then all of a sudden during the divorce, she's like, you know what? I think this was a mistake. think we need to give it another chance. It's like, oh, so the other guy dumped her. What are you talking about? No. It's like, the other guy dumped her. And then you find it enough times that it's happened where, like, literally the girl wants a divorce because she's found somebody better. From a scientific perspective, by the way, it's awesome. So Rollo has like a love-hate relationship with like a lot of Evo Psych guys, but David Buss in specific because of the sexy sons theory. The idea that women want the best father for their kids and they want to fuck the coolest guy to get babies. Dual mating strategy. He ended up trying to do a replication study of that in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And I have it saved somewhere, the link to it, which is actually kind of neat. So he did like a preview on it. He found out in 85% of the cases that wasn't actually replicatable. It turns out the girl was just done with you and wanted a new guy. So that's like the current argument right now. Is it sexy sons theory, or is it girls just move from mate to mate? It's like a serial monogamy thing. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with the details on this, which one's right, which one's wrong. It's just funny. So Dredd is learning that you don't get all the information in this stuff. A girl could be leaving you because she found another man. She could be leaving you because she doesn't like you and then she found another man. Doesn't matter. She could want to get together with you and admit that's a mistake. And she tells it because, actually, I do love you. I think I just made a mistake. We should give this another try. Turns out she just got dumped by some dude. You'll never know it. You're not gonna know. So what do you do about that? Well, you take her out of the equation. It's about you. And that's why I say it's a branch swing. You're basically considering your wife is dead. She's dead. She died to me. She's a fucking horrible, frigid bitch. Whatever shit. Get it out of your system, man. Get it out of your system. So what do I do now that she's dead? Well, and I've got guys in the chat in our private community. We talked about this all the time. And I actually love it. One of the more recent guys, he's like, yeah, it was weird. So I'm like, all right, she's dead to me. I don't expect anything from her. So I make my kids lunches. I take them here. I take them there. I do my work. I clean my house because I like having a clean house. And then he starts just realizing it's like I need to start expecting something from her. Like, no, you don't. Like, you basically, this is kind of how Dredd works. You get to this point where you're doing all of this stuff and you let go of any resentment. Like, if you're not willing to do it to a certain standard, then you just don't expect it from anybody else. So then you start to realize, what standards do I have? What is it I want out of life? And then you get there and you turn around one day and you look and you know, the wife is sitting there in jogging pants with a frumped up top bun, with all shaggy hair everywhere, eating ice cream on the couch, watching Love Island or whatever the fuck Donnie watches and calls his red pill. Meanwhile, you got the house clean, you're taking the kids to soccer practice, and you're like, what the fuck the point of her in my life? Like, she doesn't even fuck me. And I've basically taken care of the whole house. It's like a great Archwinger post on this where he's like, I did the hardest job in the world and I got it finished in like 2 hours. And he's like, I was bored as a stay-at-home mom because his girl went out to have some fun with friends for like a couple days, like a high school reunion thing or whatever, and he stayed home, took care of the kids. He's like, I had like 6 hours a day of nothing to do. It's like, no wonder why soccer moms are so bitchy. Yeah, fucking lump getting crumbs on my bed. And it's funny too, because when the guy makes that revelation, it's like, what the fuck good are you? It's never angry because he's learned how not to expect anything from anybody. If you want something done, you do it yourself. And if somebody wants to be a part of your life, they make an effort to make your life more valuable. You're basically setting expectations for other people by setting your own standards. It's really interesting. Actually, I should make a separate thing on that one. I actually will. By setting standards. It always comes with like a resignation. Like, oh, who the fuck is this? And then you realize, then the guy kind of gets a little sad. You know, the 5 stages of grief. It's like, oh, maybe it's time to replace her with something. And then they have like catch and release, where it's, are you unattractive because your wife's a bitch, or are you unattractive because you're unattractive? And every guy will say, it's because my wife's a bitch. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Go see if you can hit on a girl. It's like, what? Yeah, go hit on a girl. Oh, I can't. That's cheating. It's like, talking to a girl and being flirty isn't cheating. Touching a girl on the small of her back's not cheating. Putting a dick in her, arguably cheating. What's up, buddy? Arguably cheating. So what do you do? All right, so catch and release. Go talk to a girl. See if you can get her, indicators of interest. See if you can get a phone number. Take it as far as you're comfortable to take it. It's a sober second opinion. You realize, okay. And a lot of guys have this realization too. It's like, dude, sex is easy. Like, this chick was hot. She was young, way younger than I expected. Legally young. I'm talking like 25 here, not 40 or not 4. Like, come on, guys, get your head out of the gutter. Arguably, wink, wink. And then you realize, like, dude, it's not hard to get sex. All you have to do is just be a little bit charming, walk out, and so why am I having to fight so hard for this 5? And then again, because you're setting standards for yourself, you're setting expectations for others. And then you act differently. You don't really care. The wife is not stupid. They kind of notice, like, dude, he doesn't need me for anything. And yeah, they can be, oh, this is great. Now I can just sit around and watch Maury all day or whatever the fuck. Ellen, or what's replacing Ellen? I'll watch that all day. But then there's always dread. There's always a little bit of anxiety on that. Where a girl, remember branch swinging, right? Monkey branching. She doesn't have anything else lined up, and this guy's moving on, and she can feel it. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they shut down. How girls deal with dread is different. Some girls just shut down. They're like, whatever. And they become even worse. But then that kind of lets you know, like, she's not even willing to fight for it. Like, you know, be active, stay in shape, be a value add to my life. And a girl feels so miserable about this that she's like, no, I'd rather make things worse because then it's not my fault. It's like, do you really want that person in your life anyway? And so a guy goes through his, you know, bargaining, negotiation, and then you just realize, okay, sex is easy. Everything in my life I can handle on my own anyway. I've set all these standards for my life, and there is an expectation that if you want to be part of my life, you have to deliver something to me, because what I'm giving you is great. I'm giving you a fully self-actualized man. I'm giving you a guy who's fun, who's charming, who gives like good emotions. Maybe you do some manufactured outrage. Maybe it's a stability. Emotional stability is huge. The girl can freak out and panic. Dude, our dog got bit yesterday. My girl's panicking, and I'm having fun. I'm like, whatever, you got bit. It's this. Used to be on the ranch all the time. Cats come home with their ear bitten off, and they were fine. Like, it's just a couple lacerations on his neck. He'll be fine. But that's the thing. Imagine if you were a spinster by yourself, and you're having this flip out moment, and there's nobody there to ground you. Guys don't think about this, but yeah, just the fact that you're level-headed is a fucking superpower, dude. Okay, so Future MD, thank you for the $10 super chat, sir. That's 2 career enders in one. I get the concept. But when do you take the plunge and move out and move her out? Last LTR I lived with her, it was terrible, got in better shape, moved out, she followed me for 6 months, what the fuck? Well, here's the question. This is actually the big one. This is where, what do you want, sir? Can you see this in chat? Okay, yeah. He's acting like there's a fire. Okay, now get down. You stole that chicken breast, you got in dog fight. You're in the doghouse. Get down. Get out of here. Doing a podcast with nerds on the internet. Get out. Come on. All right. So you're saying, when do you take the plunge and move out or move her out? That's not my question to answer. That's not any guy's question to answer. That's your question to answer. And that's kind of the point of this. Now, from a red-pilled content creator, you know, the red-pilled perspective, the red-pilled lens, there is, at some point, if somebody's not adding value, you have to kick them out. That is as far as red pill will take it. It's an imperative, but it's not a categorical imperative. You must do this at 6 months and 7 years or whatever. It's a hypothetical imperative. If the person's not adding value to your life, and you prefer if somebody was adding value to your life, well, then you got to make room for them. But when do you take the plunge? That's your question. You have to discover that for yourself. That's one of the reasons it's called mental point of origin. You should know this. And if you don't know this, all the work, all the dread work that's involved in it is based on getting you to answer that question for yourself. Because there's no right answer. Some guys, the answer is right away. I am Steve McQueen. I remember him. He was like, right away. He's like, you know what? Fuck this bitch. I'm out of here. He kind of fucked it up. So right away is probably not the best answer. It works for some people. Didn't work for him. Some guys are like, you know what? When the kids move out of the house, that's the right time to kick her, make the plunge and move her out. You know, they're putting up with some misery, but they're like, I would rather the kids have the last couple years at home not fucking horrible and wait till we're empty nesters to ditch that bitch of a wife. Is that the right answer? I don't know. Do you want to put up with 3 years of misery? Do you not want to put up with it? Or 5 years or however many years? Maybe the time is like, you know, give it a year. I'll give it a year, do the thing. None of these questions are right. No, none of these answers are right, and none of these answers are wrong. It's an individual answer that you have to give. And then you'll understand that in the same way that there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer either. There's just answers. So you pick the time that you want based on whatever criteria you set or whatever. You can even do it emotionally. There's nothing saying you can't be emotional about this, although it's not best. Usually it's good to have a level head about these things. And then realize, even if it's a wrong decision, like you can adapt and figure it out. You pick how many guys here in the chat have taken a new job because they offered you more salary? You get there and you're like, oh, the work environment here is shit. So what do? You leave there and go find a different one that's even better. Was it a bad decision to leave your company for another company? No. You're doing fine now, aren't you? Man, it was terrible. Got in better shape, moved out. She followed me for 6 months. That's A lot of guys plate their ex-wives. I don't know what else to tell you. That's one of the reasons too. I would also suggest like being the stepdad with the dad in the kids' lives. There is a not uncommon chance that your current beau is fucking her ex-husband on the side. I don't know what to tell you. You'd be surprised. That was actually probably some of my more favorite field reports where guys make these revelations that are just so counterintuitive but make perfect sense once you get red pill. Where the guy will be like, yeah, my wife won't fuck me, so we get divorced. And then as soon as the divorce goes through, she starts acting nice and sweet and flirty and, fooling around and all this shit. It's like, I don't get it. All she had to do was this, and we didn't have to go through that divorce. It's like, what do you want me to tell you? Now there's like anxiety in the relationship because she doesn't have that certainty that you're not going to lose. There's not an excess of comfort and a lack of anxiety on here. And so, heaven forbid, now that your wife doesn't think of you as some bullshit burden, she actually finds you attractive and you're comfortable and there was an emotional connection. Girls are just fucking weird that way. Now, do you want to do that? I don't know, it's up to you. Some guys emotionally can handle it, some guys can't. Some guys find that if I dick my ex-wife down good enough, that she doesn't turn into a right cunt during the custody agreements. Am I going to tell you which way to do it? No, just be aware that's an option. But then some guys are like, as soon as I start sleeping with the ex-wife, I try to win her back, and then everything goes to shit. It's like, in that case, don't fucking touch her. It's up to you. Hey, that's me 3 years ago, and I'd do it again. You know what I love about this, by the way? Oh, you know what? Let's get to... There's chat. I just realized this whole time I left chat down. I know it's like a... whatever. No, you're fucking... Let's put this back. Because you guys might not be looking at the live chat on this one, so... There it is. Let's move the... Good enough. Actually, you know what? That's a bit too noisy. Let's just get that out of the way for now. There we go. Maybe make it the O in Red Morning. Yeah, it's funny. I love this about chat. This guy's in here chat saying, yeah, that was me 3 years ago. None of this shit should be a surprise. If you're really red-pilled and you're listening to some guy and you're like, does this make sense or does this not make sense? A good chunk of it should be shit that's already happened in your life. Like, there's no leap of faith here. There's literally, I'll give you 10 red-pilled concepts, and 6 to 8 of them, you're like, oh yeah, I've never thought about it that way. It's like, that makes sense, or oh yeah, that was me. The other few are like, I haven't seen this one yet, but that's every guy's blind spot. Everybody has a different 3 or 4 things that they didn't know before they came to the red pill, but it's all different, so there's overlaps to it. So you realize, you get 3 dudes together, you're going to get one fully self-actualized man. So you can either combine them in some weird science experiment, or you can just have them share some notes and talk to each other. That's what it used to be. Guys would go to the Elks Lodge or, be in the military mess or hang out and bowl on the weekends, and they'd talk about this shit, and they would sort out. We just took the internet and, amplified the process. Great. Woman who treats her man like crap equals woman who treats her kids like crap, thus leaving, kids catching crap, man caught hard, he stuck around. Maybe. Again, try to keep it away from the abstract concepts, if you can. I'm out 4 to 6 weeks from being in the shape I want. Been after 10 months, my girl's noticing other women looking at me. Yeah, they notice. But that's the other thing about dread too, right? Guys are always like, catch and release. So what does that mean? That means, if you get a really stupid guy, what do? They take the family down to Applebee's or Olive Garden, and they start hitting on the waitress, and then they find out the wife's a giant bitch, and like, I don't get it. This didn't work. You guys fucked me with your red pill shit. I'm going back to Jesus. And you're like, that's not red pill, man. Hitting on the waitress at Applebee's is a display of lower value. Having the waitress at Applebee's hit on you is a display of higher value. The idea is you're supposed to be attractive. You turn yourself into a peacock. You strut around. You make yourself available, funny, charming, whatever. And then women, when you're funny and charming and not boring, keyword, not boring, with a hyphen, I think that still counts as one word. Girls start making themselves available to you. Take advantage, don't take advantage. I don't care. It's your life. But that's how it works. And it's because girls are bored. Because girls are so bored. You know why they shop all the time? It's because they need something to do. They don't play video games. They need something else to do. If it wasn't for the video, that's why the video game industry is like what is it? All the industries that are like chick run, like shopping and nesting instinct shit and ice cream sales and all this shit, combine all of that together And that's like a video game empire, because that's guys are like, oh, I'll just buy video games and trucks and watch sports. Fuck it. Take those three things together, you're going to find that's like the guy disposable income. That's boredom of guys. Girls just are bored at a magnitude higher than men are. So yeah, they're bored. And a lot of the times, just talking with even if they don't want to fuck you, they don't know if they want to fuck you until they end up fucking you. Girls are reactive that way. They can't tell you what they want. They can only tell you what they want to experience. And they just want to have hot, fun times with a fun guy. And if that means sex, that means sex. And if it doesn't mean sex, then that doesn't mean sex. But they couldn't just articulate it to you. So yeah, you find out you're not boring, you're attractive, you're fun. You at least give off the signals of being available, and you find out sex is easy, things are fun. Girl starts noticing, other girls start trying to steal your man, and it ties back to jealousy. Guys take jealousy different than women. Women almost take jealousy as a form of pre-selection, like a challenge. Like, oh, you're going to try and steal my man? There's a reason. Okay, so some of you guys take business trips, right? Like work makes you fly to Miami or something, whatever, for work, or I don't know, whatever place, South Dakota. Where do Americans fly for work? I don't know. Someplace where there's chicks. And any guy here who's got his shit together will tell you the odds of you getting blown increase substantially the day before a business trip. Don't forget what's at home for you, sir. This is what's not out there for you. What girl's going to do this to you? Of course, all of them will, but the point is, a girl kind of understands, has that little tinge of anxiety. It's like, I need him to remember I'm the woman for him. And they do shit to remind you that you're the woman for them. And then you're happy. And then you go out and you're like, oh, I don't want to screw up what I got at home. Chick's blowing me before business trip. So sorry, madam. Thank you for the drink, but no thank you. Is that manipulative? Sure. Is it a bad thing? No. Girl wants to keep you, and she does the things that you like in order to keep you, and that makes her feel good, and makes her feel happy, and it makes you feel happy, and oh my god, this is almost like describing a functional relationship. Yeah, but the anxiety and the dread, and it's like, fuck off. Everybody's happy, and you have to come in with your stupid science, bitching about things, like, fuck yourself. Rivlino or Nash Daygame or whatever pickup artist, Pat Stedman, bitching about nothing. Oh, fuck yourself. Speaking of which, is this him?
Single moms. A horrible position that's not my problem.
No, that's the ad. I just have them listed as like 1 through 10, and I just click one and I forget which one is which. So yeah, get your dread over 9,000. And that's the thing. So it's kind of, and that's the dichotomy to it. And after this, we're going to talk about dread being a marketing term. How did you sneak over there? I'm just playing with my hand over here and the dog comes over. It's like, son of a bitch. Well, it's not division. So there's like this is like the dual nature of it, is that dread is both a conscious choice, but also an unconscious choice. Like, you know how girls are like, oh, you shouldn't have to try. Things should just come naturally to you, which is true. But until they do, it's because you're trying first. So you have to try to implement dread. But ultimately, your idea, what you're trying to do is, you know how Rolo says, I am the game? It's that. You're trying to get to a point where you're just naturally doing these things. And that's because of practice. It's riding a bike. Okay, dude, get down. Naturally doing things. It's like riding a bike. When you ride a bike, do you think about which pedal to push and which one to pull? Do you know I have to lean this way and then turn this way and then do my thing? No, you just kind of, you intuitively know where you want to go. And that's how dread works. At first, yeah, we're like, just so you know, guys, you push the left pedal down. Then when it's at the bottom, you push the right pedal down, slightly forward. You lean one way, turn the other way. That builds up momentum and this, and they're explaining all these things. Everybody's like, this is so autistic. Why aren't you just riding a bike? It's like, you'll get there. Once you've ridden a bike enough times, now it's just like, I don't know, go left, go over here, go that way. And that's where you want to be with dread. And that's what you want to do with dread. And I think it's funny because I'm sure there's a way to make a joke about like the chick being ridden like the town bicycle and then making a dread reference with that. I'm not smart enough for that joke yet. Meh. Mustang, £5 super chat, sir. Thank you very much. Girl tried to guilt trip me for not contacting her for over a year after she moved on. The balls on this girl should have been a man. Just a shit test, man. How dare you? You didn't get a hold of me in these years? Just remember, it's every time she talks about how she feels or what you're not doing, it's just add right now at the end. She felt guilty right now. And she felt guilty, and that can't be her fault or whatever she felt. That's not her fault, so it's got to be your fault. Every time you get this shit, it's just projection. To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if that was some sort of flirting. Her way of like, well, I feel bad I feel guilty and I feel bad about being guilty. So let me take you out for dinner and give you a couple smash sessions so you can remember what you're missing, or I don't know, fuck whatever. But that's the thing. Anytime you get shit like this from a girl you're not dating or you used to date, it's just like, yeah, you can come over and talk about it if you want to, and then we can talk about all the feelings you want, but after. Never let her go first. Yeah, give him all the pets from a want to be a dog owner with no dog. Aw, Patrick. Just remember, he's in the doghouse right now. So I made a bagel yesterday. Sliced some chicken. I left it on the counter for a minute. I thought I put it close enough. Remember, I keep telling you guys my dog sneaks up there. So I came in here to quickly do something. My girl was brushing her teeth, and we were going to go in and make the bagels. And then all of a sudden we hear just like screaming because the dogs are fighting, and she gets in there and pulls them apart. All three of them are having a battle royale. He had managed to reach the napkin barely that had the chicken, and he pulled the chicken down on the ground. He started eating it. The other dogs fought over it because they have food aggression. And my dog, Chomsky, has 4 puncture wounds now on his neck because the other dog managed to pin him down. A pretty good sized, like he's got like a half a centimeter long laceration. So we're like, all right, so we had to do some first aid, get that all treated. Doesn't look like it's going to need stitches, thank God. So yeah, he knows right now he's in the doghouse. Because if he didn't do that, now it's my fault, obviously, but yeah, it's just one of those funny things. Yeah. But he'll be okay. Oh, is he down here? Oh, that's funny. All right, I won't show you on camera too, but we had to give him like a scarf because he keeps licking the polysporin off his neck, so we had to give him a scarf. He looks so effeminate. It's actually pretty funny. I'll never understand why being aloof is seen as attractive. Women are strange. Tabrias? It's actually fairly straightforward. People want what they can't have. That's basically it. Being aloof means you're not... It's like the exact opposite of thirst. A guy who's thirsty, who dotes on a girl, gives her everything she wants to, that's boring. Every guy is thirsty, and everybody slips in your DMs and tells you you're beautiful and all that shit. It's like, why do I want to fuck him? He looks up to me as like a hero, and I'm like, I'm not going to fuck that. But the guy who's aloof and just doesn't give a shit... she's all right. I could take her, but leave her. Yeah, I'm sexual. Yeah, I'm fun. Yeah, I'm happy. But, you start giving me shit, I'm just, like, losing interest. The only people who do that are people who are attractive and fuck a lot of girls. And that's attractive as to a girl. It's like pre-selection. So, yeah, aloof is just one of those secondary signals. Kind of the same as how they say forearms in men or cleavage for a women. Because women can't see your body underneath clothes, but they can see your forearms. And if you've got strong, muscular forearms, well then, oh, he must have... muscular this and muscular that, and he's probably fun to fuck, but we don't see that. Same as like guys, we can't see your titties, but we can see cleavage. And if you got like a big giant set of cleavage going, you're like, I bet you there's some milkers under there. Aloof is this emotional version of that. Guys who are aloof don't need any individual woman. They can get whatever one they want. That's pretty hot. So here's my thing to you. The reason you find that confusing, and you're not going to like this answer, but it's the one you need to hear. It's because you're thinking about women as if men and women are equal. Women are men. That'd be stupid for a guy. If a girl showed no interest in you, you wouldn't show interest in hers. But you're thinking that we're the same, and we're not. And that's, I know for a fact, too. If I asked you, are men and women the same? You'd tell me no. But then in that example there about not understanding why aloof is considered attractive, you're acting as if it's true. So there's always, and this is why I hate like guys who talk in the abstract about red pill and all this shit, because they have these contradictions and they don't even realize they're there. They don't even realize. Meanwhile, if you base your red pill models after the things that are happening in your life, the things you can observe, you never end up with stupid shit like that where you start thinking men and women are the same, or, fucking this and that. Women should, Roe versus, fuck it. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist, man. But Ryan, what is a woman? This is sarcasm. It absolutely is. You know what they need in text, by the way? They need an interrobang. So that way you can tell when things are sarcasm on the written word when they're not subtle. Thanks, Poe's Law. Interrobangs look like an italicized question mark, by the way. And it turns out you add that on a sarcastic question to make it read. It's actually pretty clever. I've never heard that before. Time to start cracking some walnuts. Yeah. The dogs sound like the single moms after Dick Looper. Yeah, it's funny. 13 pounds, but like they'll kill when it's time for it. In fairness, though, to Chomsky getting the 4 puncture wounds marks on his neck, he did tear the salivary gland out of our one dog, out of Sagan. So it's kind of like a revenge thing. So now they both have neck wounds from each other. So maybe now that they're 10 years old, they can calm the fuck down. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what exists. What can I see with my eyes in person from which arc? Especially for some of the autists. No boat. Yeah, it's fucking with me. Monkey branched to me before this all happened. Oh, of course they do. But that's the thing, right? So in the same way I talked about the job thing, think of it this way. You got your shit together. You know sex is easy. You're handling your life. You have your expectations. You have your standards. Your wife decides not to meet him because she's a human being. She can decide or not decide. They can go do their own thing, which is like, I want to find a new man and then leave this man. How does the red pill guy versus the non-red pill guy react to it? Well, the non-red pill guy tries to win her back, goes to marriage counseling, does what he can to make the relationship work, gets divorced, loses half his shit because he doesn't want to go vicious during the divorce, and so she weaponizes shit, accuses him of domestic violence. She gets the kid, she gets a stipend, she gets the house, he gets fucked. He goes on to some MRA thing, bitching about, divorce rape needs to be fixed. I need to be a putz and have somebody attack me and still come out ahead. It's like the ultimate victim bullshit. Or the red pill guy. Girl starts pulling some shit. He's threatens him with divorce. He's like, door's right there. He's already swiping on Tinder. Or he's calling that girl who's like basically, and you know, there's always, if you're an attractive guy, there's always one girl that kind of knows you. That's just like, you know, if he's available, I'd hit it. Every guy gets that girl. There's always one of them around. Even if it's just an ex who's mad about their thing. Like, there's some girl out there who will fuck you if you're fuckable. You just have to know who she is and meet her and be charming around her. So yeah, hey, wifey, if you don't want in on this, door's right there. Well, I'm taking half your shit. It's like, I'll burn it to the fucking ground and give you half the ashes. I dare you. You try it. Here, better yet, here's a very good, amicable divorce situation. You can take this, or I will fight you to the death. If you want to fuck over our kids, that's your call. I'd rather give it to the lawyers than you. But mean it. And here's the thing. People only attack soft targets. If there's a chance that you're going to fight back, she's not going to fight, or she might fight, but that's the point. It lessens the odds considerably. It's actually the answer to the emasculation paradox, which is the first red-pilled concept that existed out there. Originally Hawaiian libertarian, eventually covered more in depth by Threat Point, by Dalrock, great articles. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's abundance. It's money. I'll make more. I can make more money. I can find myself a new house. I can get a new girl. Like, fuck you. Don't talk to me like that. But you're not even angry about it. At this point, it's almost like when a kid's like, I'm moving out, and they tie a handkerchief onto a stick and they walk out the house and you just laugh. You're like, good luck, kid. You know they're going to be back by dinner. And if they don't, you're like, I'll just make another kid, I guess. That one looks like he's managed to make the hobo life work for him, right? All right. So dread is a marketing term. Here's the other thing. It's actually funny because, like, why do you call it dread game? You guys, that's not accurate, is it? Because dread is the idea that I'm going to make my wife regret not fucking me and teach her a fucking, hold that bitch accountable. Okay. Well, that's horrible. And you get all the chicks arguing online. Why do you have to be like that? Why do you got to be such an asshole? It's like, look, didn't I just tell you when you're marketing to somebody, you have to speak to them on their level, not your level. And some dude who's been a year and a half in a dead bedroom, he's not hearing the whole, here, man, I figured out a way that you can blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, thanks, that's great. No, it's like, hey, you want to teach that bitch a lesson? Get in here. Holy shit, yeah, fuck that bitch. I'm in. And then they're like, Dread. Yeah, Dread. She's going to regret the day she ever stopped blowing me. And get in and you start realizing, oh, okay, it's about the standards of all the stuff we talked about before. And then they're not in the anger phase anymore. Well, technically, Cindy from work would fuck me if I wanted to, so I know I'm worth it, and I'm taking care of the kids, and I don't need the wife. And you're like, yeah, I get it. The dread thing doesn't bother them. So like, yeah, it's what you had to do because I wasn't listening when you were reasonable. So you have to be hyperbolic and fucking a prick. It pissed off the single moms, but yeah, if a guy is not even married, here's the thing that gets me. So chicks that aren't married or happily married yelling at somebody for calling it dread game. It's like, why the fuck do you care? You expect me to fight you on Roe versus Wade, meanwhile you're going to fight me on dread? Like, fuck off. You don't get a say in this. It's my body, my choice. I know you can't just replace a girl like that. I don't want to say like you can replace her like instantly, like you call a phone and it's like Uber. But the point is, in a reasonable time frame. The way I would define a reasonable time frame, Mustang, is how long of a dry spell, as a single person, how long of a dry spell do you need before you start looking for a slump buster? That's a reasonable time frame. To the point where you don't have to be like, you know what, I'll fuck a fat chick. I don't give a fuck. If you can find a girl before that realization hits you, then she's replaceable. Yeah, old and married. Yeah, damn it. I just wanted my wife to blow me again, and you made me a better man. The red pill's a scam. That's why I call it the very first beneficial bait and switch for men. It's literally selling men the anger phase and delivering on self-actualization. That's why I like it. And that's why I don't think, I always say like this place is a shithole, I'm going to leave, but I don't think I ever will, because there's nobody talking like this. Everybody loves, like, what's the newest thing on the news? I'll talk about that. What's something I can get guys pissed off at, and they'll do that. And even Rollo, bless his soul, Rational Male, wonderful book. First year Rollo, wonderful book. But he's going to do a 3-hour live stream tomorrow on fucking Roe V Wade. So it's like, yeah. He's earned, out of all the people that do red meat shit, he's the one guy I can say who's earned it. But having said that, it's still red meat. So yeah, nobody's just sitting here giving dry field reports of actionable advice, and so I'll probably never leave this fucking place. God damn it. This just got depressing. Let's cheer ourselves up. Is this one?
We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
Nothing says cheering up like watching a 14-year-old boy call everybody else manipulative. Like, just shut up and get laid, right? It's all you gotta do. I just can't do it, bros. Well, don't then. Don't. You can, but you don't. You don't want to. Again, that's the whole point. Nobody can force you to do anything you don't want to do. You have to want to. And that's why most guys suck at the red pill. Most guys suck. Most of these red pill content creators talking about bitches can't get bitches themselves. I still laugh. Like, I was this is going to be talking a little bit. All right, so you remember... how did this work? Was it Fresh or was it Fit? I don't remember which, but one of them was like, tried to get some Instagram OnlyFans chick to come on the thing. Hey, you want to come on my podcast, get drunk, and we can kick you off? And then some dude pulls a pistol. It'd be great for TV. And they're like, yeah, it sounds good. By the way, if you want on this podcast, you got to blow me first. It's like, what the hell? Why would you do that? And then you're sitting here talking about game? It's like, come on, man. Come on. You guys, you can't negotiate desire. It's like, you know, you're not living it. Why are you preaching it? Do you even believe it? Does it even matter? I'm going to throw a video out here. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's an old one, but it's a good one. It's Pro Jared did nothing wrong. Give it a watch. It's basically guys using their fame to get laid. It'll give you some perspective on this one if you're into that kind of thing. Oh, fuck, Twitter just sent me a Camila the dating coach things. When dating, remember these 4 things. Keep living your life. It's a numbers game. Never show desperation. Control your emotions. Thanks, coach. The trick to living forever is just avoid death. These fucking broads, man. These fucking broads. Anyway, so it's a marketing term. Most things are marketing terms. You got to remember. But you have to look past it. And this is why a lot of what I talk about on Twitter and YouTube and wherever is also about marketing. It's not because I like it, so you need to like it. It's that, how did Rollo actually put it this way? Everybody's a brand now. Everybody has game. It's just yours is different than somebody else's, even if you don't think you have game. I never trust a grown man with a lisp, but those fresh and fit guys irritate me. Again, I honestly, this is kind of bad, but I never watch their shit at all. I'll hear about people talking about it, but I've never watched so much as like a minute of it. I think that 5-second preview when you scroll past it on Twitter is about as far into it as I've made. And it's always like some chick or some dude. Either a dude's just being loud and boisterous or some chick is looking down trying to sound really smart. And I'm just like, fuck, whatever. Imagine sitting there having an argument with a man and between a man and a woman while you guys are drinking. I'm like, you're going to tell me about game? You can't even sit there and be charming when a drunk chick's beside you? It's like, come on, dude. Come on. Come on. Don't diss my boys, fresh and fit. Dang, you're right. Dude, I don't care. Myron and Walter, they're fine as people. I got no beef with them. It's the format of the show, and it's the wearing red pill as a skin suit thing that gets me. And I don't give a shit about well, they actually talk about things on this show. Like, nobody knows about that. Nobody watches that. Everybody watches the black dudes yelling at white sluts thing. So it's like, fuck, whatever. Genuine desire only from the current year's iPhone. Yeah, and it's always been brand management. The only difference is that you have to be more savvy with branding. But that's the point. You have to understand branding and marketing now. Maybe not to the same extent that like John would have to do when he's releasing a course, but you got to understand it somehow. And when you understand it enough, you start seeing a lot of this manipulation is just like branding and marketing techniques. There's a reason marketing works. It's because it taps into the human condition. So yeah, you're going to see examples of marketing in the human condition. When your wife tries telling you she loves you, but she's not in love with you, that's the way of like HR telling you, yeah, when you fire these people, you got to do it in this way so they don't go postal and try shooting up the fucking lunchroom. Fair enough. Tate is blowing up with millennials and Gen Z now. It's funny hearing him pop up everywhere. Well, that's the thing. He's just basically paying to be everywhere. There's like, when I look through TikToks, if I can make like a new TikTok video out of it and save some things, every fourth video is a different new Tate account. So it's like, if you guys, this is going to be an old reference, but I remember, do you remember there was this PC commercial that used to use this one song? It's like, do you really want a clone? No. Do you even really want a clone? It was like a very popular techno song in the 90s. And there was always this clone PC that's better than the originals, and they always had that stupid tune, and it was a fucking annoying commercial, and the acting was bad, and it was so cheesy, but it was on everywhere, all the time, all day. You turn to any channel on TV, and somewhere that stupid clone commercial is on, and you got it in your head. Like, I've never bought one of the PCs, but to this day, anytime that song comes up on like some 90s remix, I'm like, I want to buy a clone PC right now. That's the Tate one. Just carpet bomb saturation. So yeah, it's not that he's everywhere. It's just that he's got hundreds of Southeast Asian immigrant workers plastering his shit on everything. And it's eventually, yeah, just carpet bombing. I can't shake Tate being a fake guru off of me. Of course he is. Of course he is. Dude. He's going to talk about game? He's kidnapping girls? It's like, at the very least, it's like taking ethics advice from Bobby Dino. I'm a 6'4" jacked champion kickboxer with money. Oh, great. Tell me more about hitting on women, because that's exactly what I need. I need advice from somebody who has all these natural gifts and can fuck up royally and still secure a lay. Thank you, sir. If you have to tell somebody you're awesome, you're probably not. But even if let's say everything he brags about, he does, which I doubt. How's that helping me? I'm not 6 foot tall. I don't own a $20 million, kidnapping ranch. I don't live in a third world country. The fuck can you offer me for advice that I already know? It's like Warren Buffett. Actually, you know what it is? It's Gary V. I love this story. Here's, and this is like not me talking shit, but it's more of just the illustrating the point of marketing. Gary V gets his parents' state liquor license and wine business, like a $10 million company or whatever, and turns it into $100 million. That's great. What does he do? He gets online saying, you guys can be rich too. Here's what you do. And he's talking about selling garage sales on Facebook Marketplace for arbitrage. The 32,000 get rich quick scheme. It's like, how the fuck are you going to tell me shit? I love Fort Worth Playboy says that too. Stay with us, Ryan. I'm trying to make similar content in my small place in Italy, and a few people appreciate it, but those who do actually have a use for it. You're getting it now, though, right? It's like, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here for the clout or the fame or the money, because it sucks, all of it. I mean, it's not bad. I've carved out a decent living. It's not what I would have gotten in corporate, but I'm fine with that. But it really is, because I actually have I actually enjoy this stuff. It's like a real passion for it. It just seems weird. Like, I liked cooking, and so I learned how to cook. And I learned how to cook well. I like a relationship. I like sleeping with girls, and so I'll learn pickup, because I got to get better at it. And then a relationship. This is a pretty good relationship. I'd rather learn about it. I just find it very strange that people don't want to learn about the things that affect them the most. They won't buy a good mattress. Anyway, so back to that marketing example. Yeah, so it's... people only tell you what they want you to know. But whatever. I mean, if a bunch of kids follow that, that's great. I don't know why you want to follow a criminal. I'm personally just gonna laugh when he has when they have their Roman McClay moment. If you guys don't know who that is, everybody was talking about this book, Sanction. It was like a Bronze Age pervert, type book, and this is what real men need to know, and blah 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 this and blah 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 that, and every masculine brand was like had him on their podcast because he was everywhere and everybody talked to him. It's the exact same thing as Tate. Here's the thing. If you don't know who Roman McClay is, there's a reason you haven't seen shit from him lately. He went on a shooting spree a year and a half ago, killed 6 people, and got shot by the cops. So yeah. And then it was like he didn't exist. All these masculine brands, they were deleting podcasts and interviews and videos so fast. A couple of us were like trying to save as much as we could. We're like, no. Internet's not forgetting this shit. Nice try. And that's going to happen there too. Like you already see Interpol talking about his human trafficking and like human trafficking. Like, dude, I'm all up for like, innocence until proven guilty, but human trafficking, you're like, what do you have? Like, how bad do you have to fuck up in life where that accusation even has any credibility to it? Yeah. I'm not going to, assume criminals and whatever, but at the same time, I'm not going to associate with that shit. I've had way too many criminals in my life growing up. I can feel the scent. I ain't going back to that shit, man. But, bored middle-class kids just think it's exciting and it's great. It's like, go learn it the hard way, man. I got no qualms with that. Yeah, and the NFTs. Why does every episode have somebody asking me about NFTs? I don't give a shit about NFTs. It's just art smuggling for the average man. Sash, the first thing I found is that he tapped the Peterson chick. He maybe did, he maybe didn't. So here's the thing. I actually talked about this, and this is why I actually have some personal experience, not with Peterson, but when I first got on my ship, there was this guy, Weber. We worked together. He was he reminded me of like, you remember the movie American Pie? He looked like the guy Shitbrick. That was him. And his wife was like a very thin trailer park chick, pretty slutty or whatever. And during their stag, I got him drunk, sent him home because we were taking him out for a stag. And then his fiance came and joined the stag at the party. Ended up coming back to my place that night. Now, we didn't sleep together, but it wasn't because she wasn't willing or that I wasn't going to do it. It was because her friend cock-blocked at the end. And I'm like, I actually didn't mind. I'm like, oh, I actually kind of dodged a bullet. But she left her clothes at my place. And the next day I had to give them back to the husband and that. And he was cool with it and whatever. And I didn't sleep with her. But my buddy was telling everybody that I did. And then I was like the most popular, it was brand new guy to the ship. And that was the most popular guy ever. And I was like, well, that's a good way to make a good impression, I guess. But that's the thing. So everybody believes what they want to believe. Did it happen? Did it not? Who cares? But that's the point. You're watching a bunch of, I see the same trailer park redneck chick that I had in my life growing up. And I'm seeing these multi-millionaire top tier brands acting like fucking hicks. And I just, I don't know. I've never felt old until that moment where I just kind of like, fuck's sakes. And then I'm watching these people frothing at the mouth over it. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I could sell you a trailer park if you want to. It's all so tiresome. It's all so tiresome. Yeah, I'm with Greenlight. And it is. How does it affect me? But it's just another example of spectacle. And I get it. If you're bored, shit like this is entertaining. Yeah, enjoy it if you want. But ultimately, there are some better things you can do. And don't get me wrong. If you're at a point where your life's on lock, your wife has blowjobs on tap, your wife is a fuck frenzy, you got 3 kids, you've got a great business, like you got everything. You're like, I want for nothing. Then waste your time being a fucking emotionally driven shitbag the rest of your life if you want to. Fuck it, you've earned it. Nobody can tell you shit. Having said that, maybe pick some better entertainment than the fucking Peterson daughter Romanian shit show, but yeah, whatever. Can't account for taste. Oh, I'm sure you do. Like I said, I still remember that story. It was the funniest thing. Even when we're drinking, we haven't seen each other for years. My buddy will come up and like, hey, you remember Weber's wife? And I'm like, I didn't fucking sleep with her. Like, yes, you did. To this day, it's been like a decade, and they still assume I did. And I've never said I did. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. That's the marketing thing. Promotion material. You may not know or care, but you know everybody's name, and that's good enough. Like right now, this is free marketing for Peterson's kid and Romanian boy because we're talking about them. It's very clever and it's very useful, but I'm aware of it, so I'm trying to give you guys, use it as an example of this is why the marketing worked. Yes, I'm falling for it the same as you, but with the self-awareness that, you know, I'm not going to fall for stupid, dumb shit.
Boom, what's up, fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good, so I'm gonna jump right into it. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry, looking in the corner like a little girl in the fetal position.
I keep forgetting that's supposed to be the intro to the whole show, but I keep putting it like randomly in the middle. So all this stuff is marketing. All this stuff is dread. Everything is dread. Nice intro and fading of the music. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. Now, if that's your guilty pleasure, that's fine. But at the same time, here's the thing. I would hope that for all you guys, you can like all the drama in the world you want, all the fucking clown bullshit, all that. But if you start signing up to like war rooms and I don't know, what's Peterson's kid offering? Whatever course she is. I'm going to sign up for the how to be the best stepmother in the world course or whatever. It's like you're following it a little too far. It's good to keep this shit at arm's length, and me included. I wouldn't take me so seriously that you're hyper invested. I was like, slow down. Just invest as much as you need to, no more than that, and be okay with it. Well, it sure beats all let's go to the lobby. Dude, I should actually do that on another one. Make that let's go, like, you know, the animation with the popcorn dancing, let's go to the lobby, but fill like an Anthony Johnson, president of the Manosphere rant and behind it, and like make it to a jingle. Yeah, so just realize, like, what's this guy trying to sell? That's almost like your first thing when somebody's ranting about you online here. All right, what's you selling? Thank you for the entertainment. What are you selling? In my case, I'm upfront about it. I got a book to sell. I talk a lot about dread. I talk a lot about sexual dynamics. And it's like, and I got a nice narrative story to show you a life well lived that attaches to a lot of these principles. Because I like Rational Male, but I don't like how it's all so abstract. A lot of guys have a problem tapping that into their own lives. So when I wrote this one, I'm like, you know, it's every guy kind of has that first book. Delicious Tacos, The Pussy was kind of like his stories. Welcome to Hell from Bad Billy Pratt, same thing. We talked about it on the podcast with him, but with mine, I'm like, okay, so for all of these ones, I want the idea that it's not just, hey, is this some cool spectacle of life? I want to show you an example about how a red pill principle applied to my life. Either I learned it and did it right, or I didn't learn it and did it wrong, or that's how I learned it. Either way. Now that's what I'm selling, and I'm obviously self-interest. I'm going to tell you that's the kind of people you should be looking for. If you see, I'm awesome, be like me, it worked for me, here's a Gumroad course, and then you look at the Gumroad course and you're feeling embarrassed, you're like, I can't believe I fell for that shit. So I'm not going to tell anybody I signed up for it, so Terry's on, does this thing. It's like, oh, great. Yeah, everybody has an angle, Patrick, exactly. Everything is an angle, everybody's manipulating all the time, and it's not a bug, it's a feature. And this guy, he's an old school red pill guy. He's a thought wrecker. And I always fuck up this quote because I have it saved somewhere, but I can never remember where. Actually, you know what? Let me do what you're not supposed to do. And do I have it here? I bet you I do. Maybe. Apocalypse, nuclear family. No, oh, I don't have the quote. Son of a bitch. All right, we're going to wing it. And Thought Wrecker put it the best. You are a man. As a man, the world is going to try to manipulate you into doing something for their benefit, whether it be by force or persuasion or whatever. By hook or by crook, they will get you to do anything else. Oh yeah, they will like break your arm or break your back. Your goal as a man is to only do the things you don't want to do and only let yourself be manipulated when something is valuable for you in the end. That's it. So yeah, just be aware of the manipulation that goes on around you. Be aware of everybody's angle. Realize that it's not all bad, because again, I'm giving you guys a lot of shit here that I think is useful for you and practical for you with as little red meat as I possibly can, but I have to do something to get you in the door. I think it's a good product. I think it's got a useful benefit to you. Don't take my word for it. Ask people in the chat. But you got to ask yourself that of everybody else. Is what they're offering at the end of all this manipulation ultimately going to be good for me or bad for me? And as long as you can answer that, then you should be fine. Whether it's your wife, whether it's your brand, whether it's your boss, whether it's your daughter, whether it's your son, doesn't even matter. I should almost make a whole episode just on daughters doing that manipulation shit, because a lot of daughters have turned into outright hooker pirates because they manipulate dad and he has one-itis for his kid. It's fucking weird, man. Yeah, does any of this benefit you? And don't get me wrong, this 2-hour podcast, it's calm, it's chill, it's relaxing. We're just talking, shooting the shit. Maybe the only entertainment for you is this is like 2 hours of something you can leave on in the background while you're making, a stromboli at Boston Pizza for work. Or it's a podcast that you listen to while you're driving to work so you don't yell at people in traffic. And that's good enough. Good enough, right? Yeah, well, whether it's Tate. I know, I hate that was like, he's like my Jeffrey Miller now. Like Rollo and Jeff Miller, if you guys don't know, they have like huge beef all the time and they're just like openly hostile towards each other. And that's like the me Tate thing. And I don't think he gives a shit. I don't give a shit, but it just keeps coming up because it's such a big, boisterous clown example. I'm like, how could I not? You're just going to drop a bunch of gold in front of me and then have me not bitch about the gold standards? Like, really? Yeah, Peterson. Yeah, Peterson, see, he was a good example, but it's not because I don't like where people go after him from the moral angle. Well, you bear the fruit, his daughter's a hooker, and I don't care about that shit. I just think he's he's trying to do well. You can tell he's not like a hardcore, at least at the original part, he wasn't a hardcore grifter, and I'm not going to argue about the point, but a lot of his practical examples of things you can do, I didn't find them too useful. But that's the thing. I can be for a guy's ultimate goal. He wants men to be healthier and happier and things to generally run smoother. Noble goal, can't argue with that. The strategies he has to deal with that versus the strategies that the red pill has to do with that, I find a lot of disagreement there, but like, fuck, why wouldn't you? Just because somebody is aligned the same way I am doesn't mean I'm not going to be as equally hard on him as elsewhere. Like, fuck. I don't give Rollo any quarter. If Rollo says some dumb shit, I'll call it out as dumb shit, and I'm assuming he does the same for me, thank God. That's what you want. You don't want only your haters to be the ones critiquing you. You actually want the people who like you the most or appreciate you the most or are aligned with you the most to be the harshest critics. Because otherwise, all you're doing is just acting like chicks. Frenemies by day, enemies by night. Why are you wasting your time there? So on that note, we're going to end this one off here. And yes, Rule 0 is happening. It's going to be on Paul's channel. And I'm pretty sure we're talking about Roe versus Wade. Call it a hunch. Call it a hunch, sir. So if you're watching this thing after we're doing it live, which about 80% of you are, which is fine, I don't mind. You catch it when it's convenient for you. You keep watching, I'll keep recording. I've got some timestamps in the chat so you can hit to whatever topics. Play Tekken with it background like before. I don't know. I might have Minecraft off in the background. I guess you guys have kind of caught that. So if it's a Rule 0 episode that I can tell is like a good red meat one, sometimes I'm kind of like I'm there for support, chime in, offer my things, but sometimes it's just like, I like giving you guys a little wink. It's like, don't take this too seriously, guys, and having like Minecraft on in the background is my way of doing that. But yeah, Paul's a good guy. Check out his channel. It's definitely worth it. You know what? If we have to put out a Globetrotters Red Rule 0 game on some red meat topic and you actually focus on his stuff, I think it's worth it. I'm going to let you guys go, though. And, oh, there it is. All right, we're going to end on a good note.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower. And they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
All right, cheers, boys.